Well, good morning and welcome to the gathering. I'm glad to see you here. I don't know about you, but it's been a pretty intense week for us. Week after week, we are locked away. Some people are beginning to open up, but the stress is kind of compounding. So sometimes we melt down. Sometimes we feel strong. I don't know if that's exactly your experience, but it's certainly mine. And so we come together at a gathering like this, partly to be inspired and partly to be held by one another, cared for by one another. That's what I'm hoping these gatherings will do. I'm hoping that's what it's doing for you, because we all need encouragement and we all need comfort right now, and we all need inspiration. Happy Mother's Day. Many of you are mothers, some accidental, some deliberate, but many of you are mothers. And that can be particularly poignant at a time like this. We worry about our kids and our kids worry about us. Hard not to be in contact in the ways we're used to being in contact with them. So there's a special joy about today and something a little heavy. So I'd like you to come to a time where we examine our lives. I'd like you to sit quietly and be aware that you are surrounded and infused with the presence of the love of God. That creative urgency that heals, that brings about the next beautiful thing in you. When you sit, that's who you are sitting with. And we're going to bring whatever's happened this week to that presence within, because it's there that it can be healed. It's there that you can be inspired to grow beyond those moments. But this is not an exercise in trying to feel bad. This is an exercise in looking to be healed by the presence of the one that can't do anything but express love within you. And so come to this time of examine, knowing that you are loved by the presence of God. I don't know what each of you is carrying this week, but I can tell you this. Whatever burden is weighing you down, whatever flaw, whatever trauma, whatever dream left unfulfilled, you can know one thing for absolute certain, and that is that the presence of the love of God is unfolding from within you. You are becoming a more beautiful and perfect expression of that presence. And so don't carry what you've been carrying into this day. Leave that behind, because the love of God will take you further from here. And that is why we sing praises to our God. Mm. The pianist is John Steiner. I think a couple of you know him. Um, Played at the First Presbyterian, still plays at the First Presbyterian Church of San Rafael. And he and I wrote that piece together. Mostly he did it. So I'd like to open the Gospel of Matthew again. This is the first time I've preached on Matthew these last few weeks in years and years. And there's a good reason to open him right now, and I'll talk about that when I'm done reading about this third trip to the mountain. From the 15th chapter, beginning verse 29. After Jesus had left that place, he passed along the Sea of Galilee. There we have a sea again, the chaos from which things emerge. And he went up onto the mountain where he sat down. Great crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the maimed, the blind, the mute, and many others. They put them at his feet, and he cured them, so that the crowd was amazed. When they saw the mute speaking, and the maimed whole, and the lame walking, and the blind seeing, their eyes were opened, and they were amazed, and they praised the God of Israel. Matthew's writing this gospel because he wants to create a new society. He calls it the kingdom of heaven, the reign of heaven. Some of the other gospel writers call it something else, but Matthew is looking for something much bigger and much better than what his community had had before. He's looking to build this new society. He sees this as a moment because the people in his community had experienced terrible loss. The structure of their lives had folded because their lives and their identity had wrapped around this idea that God lived on top of this hill in Jerusalem, in the temple. And that temple had been flattened and destroyed by the Roman Empire. And then Roman culture, like a virus, began to infiltrate into the Jewish people, and their identity began to be lost for many. There were a variety of different expressions or things that people did about this. But Matthew wanted to create a new society because he saw some opportunity here. Even in the midst of the suffering and the fear, in the midst of the disruption of the economic activity that surrounded the temple. Even in that, he saw some opportunity. Does that sound a little like the situation we're in right now? It was devastating. It was hard. People were sick, didn't know where to turn. But Matthew wanted something more, the reign of heaven. And so he tells this story about Jesus. And he doesn't tell the story about Jesus because Jesus is a Superman. One of my objections to the way the church has handled Jesus over the years is they put Jesus way up on this pedestal. And you and I, we can't do that. We don't have a chance to do that. And there's a way in which kind of reduces expectations, reduces the sense that we can grow and express the love of God in the same way that Jesus in this story could. No, when Matthew writes this story, he is writing to make Jesus paradigmatic of the ideal citizen in the reign of heaven. And that's a call for us to be like that, not for us just to revere who Jesus is. And so Jesus went to the mountain 4 times, as we've seen. The last time he went to the mountain, he called the disciples, that is to say, the people that were formed by his teaching, together. And he said, make disciples, form other people in this teaching. Go out into the world, build this community, build the reign of heaven, because this is an opportunity when everything has been leveled. This is our chance. It's our chance too. So we saw on the first trip to the mountain that Jesus looked to form people with what he called law or Torah. What a tremendous gift that the Jews had given everybody, right? This law, this Torah, the vision and the view of what a society can be when it is drawn into the presence of God and lets God's love flow out through us into the world around us. That's what Jesus was looking for. It was very different than trying to create a set of rules to appease an angry God. No. What Jesus is after there, what we're looking to be formed at, is to learn how to express the love that lives and animates us. That's what the law is about. It's not about appeasing an angry God, for God can only love. And he went to the mountain a second time, and he went to pray. And what we learned about that prayer was not that he was, again, trying to talk an unwilling God into doing nice things for us, but instead becoming so close, so intertwined with the presence of God, so connected to the God that lives within and as us, that the prayers that he said were participating in God's creative project, in the unfolding of the glory of creation. And when Jesus was able to do this paradigm of the reign of heaven, he could draw on the power of creation, draw on the power of God's love, and walk upon the sea, the great chaos that threatens to disrupt our lives. That's what we're called to do. Because Jesus isn't up there, some ideal that we can't reach. No, Jesus is calling us to be a person that participates in God's creative project from within and from without. Today, Jesus goes to the mountain the third time, and they bring all of the people that had all of that day's maladies. The lame, the mute, all of them. And Jesus healed them. Why? Well, Jesus healed them because he was drawing on the creative power of the presence of God that was unfolding within him, being expressed through him. And remember, Jesus is the paradigm, not something that we can't attain. If we're to be citizens in the reign of heaven, so to speak, if we're to create a new society out of the trauma and the difficulty right now, well, then we are called to look at all of the maladies that are around us and find ways to heal, not out of our own power, but out of the creative love that thrives and expresses itself through us. That's what we're called to do. At this moment, when the structures of our society have faltered and failed us, it gives us a chance to open our hearts and to see something different. There's a viral video that I saw this week, and I'd like to show it to you. I think many of you have probably seen it, but I think in this context, it would be a good idea for us to just sit for a few minutes and listen to what amounted to a child's tale. That might get us to, imagine what are the maladies that society is suffering from. And it might begin to speak to us as we ask, how might we heal them? So let's listen to this absolutely adorable video.